What is a GDP deflator? It is a measure of the overall level of prices. The GDP deflator gets its name because it is used to deflate nominal GDP to get real GDP. Or in formula, GDP deflator is equal to nominal GDP over real GDP times 100. One way to measure the economy's inflation rate is to compute the percentage increase in the GDP deflator from one year to the next. So, we can use GDP deflator to compute inflation rate. How to compute GDP deflator? Using the same example, we will use this information to calculate GDP deflator. Again, the formula is nominal GDP divided by real GDP times 100. So in 2005, nominal GDP is, in 2005, the GDP deflator is 100. Not 100%. Take note, wala siyang unit because a GDP deflator is just an index or a factor. In 2006, the GDP deflator is equal to $8,250 divided by $7,200 is equal to 4 times 100 is equal to 114.6. And see, in 2007, GDP deflator is 128.6. We can calculate the percentage increase of this GDP deflator to calculate the inflation rate. So, percentage increase from 2005 to 2006 is 14.6%. Paano nakuha si 14.6%? 2006 GDP deflator minus 2005 na GDP deflator divided by 2005 GDP deflator times 100%. Nakuha? So, to calculate the percentage increase from 2005 to 2006, so, yung 2006 value minus 2005 value divided by 2005 value times 100%. So, that is 14.6%. Similarly, the percentage increase in 2006 to 2007 is 12.2%. So, that is equal to 128.6 minus 114.6 divided by 114.6 times 100%. So, that is how to calculate the percentage increase. So, ibig sabihin, from 2005 to 2006, the level of prices or yung inflation natin, ito yung inflation value of or equivalent to inflation rate. So, 14.6 is the inflation rate. Or the level of prices has increased by 14.6%. And from 2006 to 2007, the level of prices has increased also by 12.2%. Real GDP per capita is the main indicator of the average person's standard of living. And ito yung usual na ginagamit ng economists or policymakers, scientists, or social scientists and business persons as an indicator of the average person's standard of living. But take note that GDP is not a perfect measure of well-being. In fact, Robert Kennedy issued a very eloquent yet harsh criticism of GDP. So, much of what Robert Kennedy said about GDP is correct. So, there are things that GDP does not value, and these are the quality of the environment, leisure time or recreation, the non-market activities such as the child care, then an equitable distribution of income. But why do we care about GDP? Having a large GDP enables a country to afford better schools, a cleaner environment, healthcare, and etc. Many indicators of the quality of life are positively correlated with GDP. For example, um, if we correlate life expectancy and real GDP per capita, we can see on the diagram that a country with higher GDP or real GDP per capita, for example, US, Japan, Germany, are also those countries who have life expectancy or higher life expectancy. And those countries with lower real GDP per capita, such as Nigeria, Bangladesh, India, are also those countries that have lower life expectancy, so lower lifespan. So we can conclude that real GDP per capita and life expectancy are related or correlated or positively correlated. So in short, although real GDP is not a good measure of well-being, it is a good indicator of how healthy a country is or how healthy is the economy of the country. Another is adult literacy versus real GDP per capita. If we compare again, or if we compare countries with higher real GDP per capita, GDP and literacy are positively related. Okay, for example, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nigeria have low real GDP per capita, and these are also the countries that have low adult literacy as percent of population. So, the source of this data is from the Human Development Report in 2007-2008 from the United Nations. The same also internet usage. Then, if you compare that to real GDP per capita, so the same story. The countries with higher real GDP per capita are also the countries with high or greater percentage of population using internet.